Villains. The big question that often comes to our minds when we talk about the subject of villains is, why are we so afraid of them? Intimidation is one of those words that's so striking when you hear it. It just strikes a nerve. And to me, it's one of the coolest words to talk about. Being intimidating can be a positive, but a lot of the time, especially in society, it's seen as a negative. That's why antagonists, villains, are often seen with this trait. And it's a big thing. Villains are almost nothing without intimidation. The villains that have no intimidation, it's like having no charisma on a date. You fall flat, and you have no substance. Villains who lack intimidation tend to be the ones that are more of a joke, more of a child, and the ones that we have no respect for and find no interest in. But what brings intimidation? What are the things, the elements, that create the perfect kind of villain with the traits of intimidation? Well, the truth is, there are 5 different aspects to different kinds of intimidation. Some villains will have multiple, some will have all of them, and sometimes they'll just have one. These are the intimidating factors that will make your villain, and any villain, not just intimidating, but have presence, power, and an effect on your hero and your characters. Let's dive in. And before we get any further, leave a like and a comment below, and as well, subscribe. If you like what I do here on my channel, if you like hearing about stories being crafted, this is the place to be. Your support means a lot, and I'll be able to craft more stories and more videos like this in the future. The first kind of intimidation is the one that we often think of the most: physical intimidation. Raw power. It is the most uncontrollable, the most dangerous, and off the bat we understand what it is. That immense power that is overwhelming, dangerous, daunting, and immovable. The characters that often come to mind with this kind of thing are characters like Kai from Kung Fu Panda 3, or Thanos, or Darkseid from the DC universe. But the one that I felt like was even better than that was Doomsday. Doomsday from the DC universe is a powerful and monstrous villain that fights Superman. He's fought the Justice League and other superheroes in the DCU, and he tends to be a character that is almost unkillable. He has practically all the abilities Superman has, mixed in with immense, incredible strength, raw, untapped power. He's so dangerous. He took out the entire Justice League and then killed Superman. Doomsday is a powerful and formidable foe. What makes him intimidating is the physical factor. And physical doesn't just mean your body, it means overwhelmingly powerful. Your physical materials that make you a danger. Even Jack Horner in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is physically intimidating because of all of the raw materials he has that are magical. Doomsday is dangerous. He is intimidating because he can take on even the strongest opponents. It's not about him being smart, it's about him being able to break your bones. And because of that, he is dangerous. Intimidation from him comes from the fear of, well, his overwhelming power and the fact that he is literally unstoppable. Things that are unstoppable frighten us. And because of this, he's incredibly scary. Villains are often intimidating because of their show, not just their tell. They can talk about what they've done. They can talk about different things they do, but they have to be able to show it to really prove that they are more than just all bark and no bite. What if you're physically strong, but that's not enough? Well, the villains that are incredibly smart bring the intellectual intimidation. While Doomsday is incredibly intimidating because he's a complete monster that is practically unstoppable, like, well, a lot of horror killers like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, there are others who like to take a more smarter approach. Enter Anton Chigurh. I don't know if I said his last name correctly, but Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men is an intimidating villain because of his ability to use his intellectual skills. He is a deadly hitman, but it's also his belief in himself. His ideals come into play along with his intimidating qualities. He's a character that believes that he is the hands of fate. He's there to bring justice or death, and it's not necessarily justice, but it's fate, if you will. He carries around a coin, kind of like Two-Face, where you have to choose either heads or tails, and that will decide if you live or die. He might be pursuing after money, but he is a character that also is a bit philosophical, bringing in a dilemma that is a bit dangerous, a bit calculative, but he also brings the biggest thing that makes him intimidating. Intellectual intimidation when it comes to characters like Lex Luthor or the Joker. They bring something a little different. They expose the main character. The protagonist is faced to political, moral, spiritual, intellectual dilemmas. If anything, these villains are like puzzles that are hard for the heroes to solve. And because of this, they frustrate them. They provoke them. They poke the characters and they expose them. They make them feel vulnerable. They make them feel weak, dumb, stupid, unintelligent, and powerless. This is the intimidating factor of intellectual villains. They have to present conundrums to the hero. They aren't just fighting them. Even if they have physical powers, they also need to bring in their A game with their smarts, their intelligence. And characters like this tend to bring these predicaments, challenging the character, wanting them to bring them to their knees so that they can stand over them and laugh and feel the power over them. They know how to pull on the strings of the heroes. But the thing is, with characters like Anton or Lex, they don't always have the other aspect. The aspect that gets the more vulnerable aspects of the hero. The emotions. Enter Lord Shen. Lord Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2 is a great example of an emotionally intimidating villain. He is very intellectually intimidating. He has, well, the technology, the smarts and brains to use gunpowder to create these powerful cannon-like weapons. He has an army, so he has influence and manipulation he has used to be able to conjure this entirety of an empire. But the other aspect is that Lord Shen is able to provoke his characters and weaken them deeper than just intellectually, but emotionally. You see it with the Masters in the beginning of the movie. You see that when Master Rhino is killed, Master Croc and Master Bison hide themselves in the cellar. They are emotionally despaired. They not only lost their closest friend, but they themselves feel powerless. Intimidation through villains often make their heroes feel powerless in different ways, whether that be they can't stop the Force because it's too strong physically, or the Force is too smart and has outplayed them in every way, or it's the emotional aspects. And the emotional aspects tend to be able to grab the idea of this character is too dangerous. They could harm others. They could harm my friends. And when Lord Shen is threatening to turn the weapon on the city, that also makes it way more dangerous. But Lord Shen knows how to poke, how to weaken the resolve of characters. You see in characters like Pitch Black, he does the same. The more power he grows, the more of his plan he's able to accomplish, the more the Guardians begin to feel weak. They begin to feel, again, powerless. They begin to feel that there is no hope, and they begin to despair. And he shows this by not just his armies, but his words. He begins to help them reflect, carefully reflect, on what they're not able to do, their weakness. Emotions tend to be a double-edged sword, both a strength and a weakness. Lord Shen, though his emotions can be quite passionate and can lead to his weaknesses, they're also a strength. He's determined because of it, and it makes him intimidating, frightening, because he displays it against Poe as well, and he exposes the trauma that Poe has felt from Lord Shen. This is his greatest advantage over Poe. In the end, it does become a weakness. A lot of these intimidating factors are also their weaknesses. Strengths are often also our weaknesses, which is a funny aspect to not just humanity, but life itself. But emotions can go further. They can step into bounds that go even deeper into our soul. The wolf from Puss in Boots' Last Wish enters into our spiritual intimidation. He is emotionally intimidating. He makes Puss feel anxiety, he makes him feel a bit of depression, it makes him feel despair, sorrow, regret, shame. But most of all, he makes him question his own life. It's a moral conundrum. Puss has had all these 9 lives, and yet he's wasted all of them, and now that he's at his last, being a legend, he now realizes he almost has nothing after all these years. Death comes forward, intimidating because, well, even before Puss knew he, spoiler alert, was Death, he sees that he is someone who could take away his last life. And because of that, his spiritual conundrum becomes, what have I done with my life? I've wasted it. But it also becomes, perhaps I can get them back with one wish. Death doesn't care. He's intimidating because he's not just a bounty hunter, he is literally Death. He's intimidating because he is unstoppable. The one foe that Puss can't really defeat. The one foe that Puss can't outsmart, outplay. It's not about any of those things, the smarts or the emotions. In the end, it's really about life or death. And this brings us to our final: moral intimidation. Moral intimidation comes from the fact of challenging one's principles. When a villain is able to challenge a character's principles, ideals, this intimidates heroes because then they feel inconsistent and they feel like they could break and even turn to the dark side. Characters like Sauron are great examples of this. Sauron is a powerful immortal being, the equivalent to a fallen angel in the realm of Middle-earth. In Tolkien's story of Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, we see that Sauron is a powerful sorcerer, a powerful mortal being. He's smart, manipulative, he can transform into almost any shape or form he desires. He can use immense power to be able to destroy islands. He is a character that, in all senses of the definition, is intimidating because he is a force to be reckoned with. Almost a force of nature. But what is his greatest skill? It's his moral predicaments. Specifically in the One Ring. The One Ring tempts Frodo. It tempts every character that comes in contact with it. It is a piece of him manipulating them, the dark evil, forcing them to succumb to his dark purposes. We see it with Gollum. Frodo and Gollum are both sides of the coin. Those who have given in, and those who have resisted. It is a battle of temptation, a battle of morals, sin, faith, belief, a battle for virtue versus vice. Therefore, Sauron is able to conquer over his opponents because of this, and it becomes a huge problem for the characters throughout the story. He is intimidating because any moment someone could succumb to the One Ring and turn against their friends. Moral predicaments. The moral intimidation comes at a cost of more of a character weakening and siding to the dark side. Characters like this tend to be dangerous because they're tapping into something deeper, your very core values. We look at the 5 intimidating aspects, and each villain brings something different. Those who rely on their physical prowess, characters like Titan, Jack Horner, or Doomsday, they focus on the aspects of being incredibly strong, powerfully overwhelming. These villains, they threaten you at all cost because They're the ones that could break your bones if they wanted to, and not bat an eye. Characters that are intellectually intimidating, like Anton, or Lex Luthor, or the Joker, they can pull strings against you. They can manipulate you easily. They can fool you. They can make you feel stupid, or outplayed, and, well, unintelligent. Villains who use your emotions against you, like Lord Shen or Pitch Black from Rise of the Guardians, they use the very thing that can be your strength against you. They turn your hopes and your dreams into nightmares, fears, and trauma. And villains who use the more spiritual aspect, your very purposes in life, threatening the very idea of your existence, they're able to pull your entire reality upside down and make you feel the anxiety and vulnerability of how fragile life is. While villains who take your morals have the immense power to be able to challenge your very principles and make you act against them, thus turning everything you thought into your worst enemy. Intimidation is built by how you show your villain, how you display them, their presentation, their presence, their motives, their goals, and most of all, it is displayed in their actions, not just in their words, but what they choose to do. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm sorry I couldn't record myself talking about it, but ended up turning out a lot better than I thought it would. I'm having a little trouble with some of my camera issues, but we're getting that fixed. If you liked this video, please watch one of the videos on the left or the right, and please subscribe to the channel if you like watching story analysis, if you like watching stories being told. The Transcendent world is full of many stories that I've created originally, and there are a lot of them. There are some villains I would like to talk about that I've created personally in the future that I would love to dive into more. I'll talk more about villains in the future and more about genres and other things, but if you have any comments or thoughts or ideas of what I could talk about next, please leave in the comment section below. This specific video, I will give a shout out to Tater Top Boy, I believe is his name, who inspired me for this idea for this video. And honestly, it's been really awesome to talk about. And as always, the mysterious stranger will be seeing you on the other side of the gates.